Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, man. I cannot tell you how absolutely happy I am to be here. I got a little different setup. Hopefully it looks good to you guys. Readjusted my camera a little bit. I cannot tell you how happy I am to go ahead and be on the show. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here to talk football. It's been a long week. I'm very much looking forward to the 4th of July weekend. I hope you're looking forward to it because after the 4th of July weekend, I am going hardcore into breaking down all 32 seasons. As far as I'm concerned, after the 4th of July football season officially starts for me, I'm just going to go hard, hot and heavy. I tried to say hot and heavy and hardcore at the same time. I'm going to go hardcore breaking down all 32 teams starting next Wednesday. I'll have Jacksonville. And next week, when I break down the AFC West, I am going to have the New York Jets available. So you'll have 2 videos available right from the very beginning. Very, very, very happy to be here. Very excited. I already got some great comments here. Not shocked the Cowboys. You know what? I'm not either. There's a lot of teams I would have preferred over the Cowboys. I would have preferred a team that's not been on before. I remember when my Chiefs were on there, they had a really bad season, so I didn't want to see the Chiefs. But there's a lot of other teams I think that would have been better fit than the Cowboys. But the Cowboys are popular. Jerry Jones really likes it. And it's also easier for HBO to do a team like the Cowboys. That's part of the reason why they're going to get on for a third time. But no, I'm not surprised either. I would have preferred someone different, but that's just my opinion. I got Red Sea in the house. I am finally able to defend my Cardinals in one of these streams. Hey, I'm going to break down the NFC West, and I want to know what your opinions are because out of all the divisions I've done so far, I really haven't had too much of a disagreement with what Vegas says. This is the first one that I'm going to do that I have no idea what Vegas is thinking. So I kind of want to know what you guys think because when I open this up, I'm shocked at what I see. And I want to know what you think. And I definitely want to hear from Cardinals fans because they're the biggest surprise of them all. So I do want to hear what you think. Funk, Red, if the coach don't fail you all, y'all won't need defending. That's fair. But Kingsbury's definitely, I don't know if he is on the hot seat, to be perfectly honest. It's not, I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't think going into this season, I wouldn't really call him on the hot seat. I think if they underperform, I mean, when you sign a guy like J.J. Watt, I think you are under a burden to perform. But I mean, if they went, let's say 9-8 or 8-9 and didn't make the playoffs, is Kingsbury gone? I'm not sure, but I think if they go 7-10, I would say he's definitely gone because the Cardinals have a lot of talent. Cardinals do have a lot of talent. I don't know. Of all the coaches, I would say there's a few more I would put before Kingsbury. But I think if you go around 500 or maybe losing the first round of playoffs, then I'd say he'd be back. I'm going to say Seattle winning the division. A lot of people say I'm capping. Well, One Pride 40, if you guys remember last year, my number one bet was the Seattle Seahawks over 9.5. They won 12 games. And I also had a little action on Seattle winning the division. Those 2 bets put me over for the year. I'm sorry, I got Nat in here. How the hell did I get in here? All right. Even Nats are wanting to be on the show. It's terrific. And here's the thing. Seattle went from a 12-win team. Remember, Russell Wilson was MVP for like the first 6-7 weeks of the season. So this team quietly got better during the offseason. There was a lot of talk early on. Russell Wilson named some teams that he wanted to get traded to, but that didn't really pan out. I mean, there was no question Russell Wilson was going to stay in Seattle. They also got DK Metcalf, the most physically gifted wide receiver entering year 3 or year 4. Lockett on the other side might actually be a better receiver. They had, I think, all 4 or 5 of the running backs on the roster go down with injuries. So there's a lot of things to like about Seattle. I'll be honest with you, One Pride 40, I don't think you're capping because they're actually my early on They're actually my early on favorites. Am I going to put action now in Seattle to win? I kind of want to show you some things here. I'm going to answer some more of the comments. Then I want to hear what you guys have to say, because out of all the divisions I've done so far, this is the first one that I'm like, what the hell are you guys thinking when it comes? I'm using William Hill Sportsbook, but most odds makers have the same thing William Hill does, and I don't get what they're coming from. So I actually want to hear from you guys once I put this up here. I'm actually here to defend my Cardinals. You may be surprised, and I want to hear from Cardinals fans, because when I first looked this up, I thought it was a mistake. I'm going to let you know right now, because a lot of things that are here that Vegas is saying, I'm actually surprised. So I definitely want to hear from you. What is there to defend? All right, that's fair enough. The Cowboys are already getting fined, so this season should be decent. There's a lot of teams that got fined. Jacksonville got fined. Washington got a $10 million fine, but the owner, Schneider, is now banned from day-to-day operations. That's going to be something very interesting to find out what's going on. So we'll have to find out what's going on. No Zach Wilson slander should be tolerated. People are pegging him to bust. All right, Zach Wilson. Yeah, big time. But Jacksonville was fine. Dallas was fine. Cleveland was fine, if I'm correct. I think I'm missing a team. Whose seat is hotter? Matt Nagy, number one. He's probably number one coach. Zach Taylor, Cincinnati, his seat's hotter. Off the top of my head, those two. Those two are probably key ones right off the top of my head. But, I don't think Kingsbury's really on a hot seat. I'll tell you somebody in his own division whose seat may be hotter, nobody's talking about, it's Kyle Shanahan. And I'll explain why here in a bit, but I think Kyle Shanahan's on the hot seat more than Kingsbury, because here he is, he's a supposed genius, but 3 out of 4 seasons he's been in San Francisco, he's had a double-digit losing season. But he's supposedly this genius. And here's a team that went from 13 wins, losing the Super Bowl, to 6 wins. And you'll see firsthand the high expectations people have on the 49ers this year. So I would tell you Shanahan's actually on more of a hot seat, but nobody's talking about it because the expectations are much higher for San Francisco than they are for Arizona. And that's another thing, should that be correct? Let's start off right now. You know what? Let's do this here. I wasn't going to do it, but you got a good point here, One Pride 40. So let me just go ahead and share my screen, because I found this to be mind-blowing. The Rams are favored to win the division, but there's not a clear-cut favorite. If you remember when I did last week, when I did the NFC North, Green Bay was favored, so they had a negative number. If I remember right, I think it was 130. So you had to wager $130 to win 100. But here, all of these numbers are positive. So there's not really a clear-cut favorite. The Rams and the 49ers are 1 and 2, almost the same. This floored me. Seattle at 280 is significantly in third. And this floored me because after J.J. Watt, I really thought that Arizona would be close. I thought all 4 of these teams really, really close. Why is Arizona at 575 the clear favorite to finish dead last in the division when they almost made it to the playoffs and they added J.J. Watt? Another thing I'm going to point out, and I'll get this here in just a bit, they're the only team I really liked their draft. The rest of the teams, I didn't like what they did. Xavier Collins, if they use him right, can have an impact. Which one of these other teams made an impact in the draft? The Arizona's the only team I can honestly say that got better in this year's draft. The rest of these teams really didn't. San Francisco didn't, because if they want, my first mind fart of the day. I'm only I'm 9 minutes into the show, already had a mind fart. I'm going to drink some coffee. I'm 81% sure I am not on cocaine. 81%. That's a very high number. Trey Lance. He's in a perfect world. He doesn't even play. Seattle had 3 draft picks. So I don't get why Arizona is the clear favorite. I mean, this number is twice the number of this, almost 3 times this, and it is 3 times here. You guys tell me, is this right? Is this right? Are the Rams the favorite? Okay, I can see the Rams being the favorite. How is Seattle, a team that won 12 games, not as favored as a team who won 6? I don't get it. I really don't get it. So you guys tell me, because this does not even make sense. And the Jags. Yeah, Jacksonville was fined. Russell's an MVP. Yes, that's right. He had a really bad game. Yeah, Russell Wilson was easily the MVP. And then now the one thing I will say is they fired Schottenheimer's kid, which is not fair because he's a good coach in his own right. But I always known him as Marty's kid. So he fired Marty Schottenheimer's son, who was the offensive coordinator in Seattle, got very creative and said, hey, look, we're going to run the ball. Let's just use 6 linemen. And that's what they did. I thought it was brilliant. And then early on, they're throwing the ball, getting Russell Wilson. But what killed them is that in the playoffs, they lost to the Rams. And you could see DK Metcalf was visibly getting rattled. He was getting frustrated. Ramsey was following him around, shutting him out. So they made a play just to get the ball in his hands, just to make him happy. They threw a screen pass to him, very easy. It was picked, and he ran for a pick 6, and DK Metcalf was just out of the game. They had him mentally out of the game. Very smart move by the Rams. What happened to their defensive coordinator? Well, he got promoted. He's taken over the other LA team on the AFC when he's the head coach of the Chargers. But people are overlooking that, even though a lot of people said that he was such an upgrade from Wade Phillips. Well, now that he's gone, so how is this still an upgrade? And then Kyler had fun with Bill. And that's another thing is that people are talking about Kyler Murray being an MVP candidate last year, but nobody's talking about him this year. How's that? He's got an extra offseason with Hopkins. He's got all those weapons. I don't know how AJ Green's going to be, but I mean, this would be the year I think that Kyler would be an MVP candidate, not last year. But this number is still crazy high. Russ wasn't asking for a trade. He got asked by reporters, any other team he'd like to play for, and everyone. Yeah, but here's the thing, Funk, and this is my point. There was talk about it, and it was talk on ESPN and a lot of talking heads that, is entertainment, but he wasn't going anywhere, but there was talk about it. The thing is, though, is that Seattle very quietly, because of all this other talk about Russell Wilson going to like 4 different teams or whatever, Seattle quietly got better this offseason. They made a few small free agent acquisitions. I off the top of my head, and I should have looked it up right before I came on the air, but I don't remember who it was that's taken over as offensive coordinator. But if it works with Russell Wilson, if he's able to do some RPOs, have a lot more audible ability, ultimately, what is the Seattle Seahawks going to do? They're going to run the ball. And the more they run, the better success they'll have, is because Russell Wilson, despite his being 5'10", 5'9", 5'11", however tall he is, he's got one of the best deep balls in the league. Are you going to tell me he's the best deep ball thrower in the league? I understand why people say that. It's not true. Great deep ball, though. Great deep ball. And that's the best part, is that you have a team that runs, and then it's a threat to go deep. And that's what makes Seattle really good, is because they run a very simple system on offense and defense, but they get it done. The last several years of defense, they haven't been able to get it done. But if that defense ends up being better than average, they're an extremely dangerous team. But you are right. It was a story, but what's not a story is that they quietly got better this offseason. They're a 12-4 win team with an MVP caliber quarterback that people are really overlooking. How do I know they're overlooking? They're third. They're third. Let me ask you, Funk. I know you know your football. Are they the third best? Is Seattle the third best team in this division? Denver Gator, what's up, brother? Got the show on my 4K big screen. Really bright. You're a stud, even if you are a bandwagon Chiefs fan. There is a ton of bandwagon Chiefs fans. Next week, I am going to do the AFC West. No promises, but I'm gonna try to get a guest on. I had such a great time with Luke G. It was so much fun having Luke on here, and he offered to come on again. So I'm gonna try to get him on. I'm gonna try to get him on after I do the Lions video because I would love to get his opinion. Me and him have way different opinions of the Lions. But when I had him on, it wasn't a debate. I wanted to be an interview. I wanted to get his opinion. But I think the next time I have him on, I'd like to get a debate because we have different points of view of the Lions, but the one thing we do agree upon is that they're on the right path. I just think that this year is going to be a train wreck. He's a lot more optimistic, and it makes sense. I mean, if you're a Lions fan, why not be optimistic? You know, I get it. One Bride 40, I might just join a semi-pro team next year. Do it. Do it. Send me some pictures. I want a jersey. If you send me a jersey, let me know what it costs and everything. We'll work it out. I got it's the Dan Show. As a matter of fact, I think I even have it up. No, I don't. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the Dan Show. It's like $. I have to look it up. Anyway, I do have a Cash App. I will send you some money if you get a jersey, though. I would love that. I'd wear it on the air. I'd advertise it for you, One Pride. So there. Yeah, Niners are fine. A lot of teams are fine. Shanahan, McVay are on probably odder seats. I don't think McVay is, but Shanahan really is. And people are overlooking. He was this genius. He was this great coach. 3 out of 4 years, double-digit losses. His record's sub 500. And if they finish under 500 again this year, he will be gone. And, oh, God, I forget his name. The GM will also be gone. Drawing a complete blank. Hall of Famer, played for Denver, played for Tampa. John Lynch. John Lynch may be gone also. But Kingsbury definitely not getting it done. I don't know because a lot of people thought that they should have gone to the playoffs. I didn't. I was kind of tempered on the Cardinals last year. I was kind of thinking, well, they finished 500. That's good. Even with Watson, I thought they're a 500 team. And they had a lot of youth. Vance Joseph did not use Isaiah Simmons right. That was a major, major mistake. They drafted him, and then they wanted to put him at outside linebacker. I thought he should have played inside linebacker. Now they drafted Xavier Collins, the same type of movable chess piece, and did they use him right? That's a big question because if Vance Joseph figures out how to use Simmons and Xavier Collins correctly, along with the other pieces they have on defense, this should be a very good defense. So to be perfectly honest, I think Vance Joseph is really under the burden because the offense is still pretty good, but that defense has to be good. There's a lot of things to like in Arizona, and I'm still floored about this. I mean, how are they a clear underdog to be the worst team in the division, and it's by a big margin. I mean, this is 2-1. So I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. And when I go to my over under here, I'm going to answer some more of these, and I'll go over all of these. But you see, 10 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins. And I'll delete my banner here just for a second. 8 wins. So, I mean, everybody's saying it's a tough division, and except for a lot of people are high on the Rams. Or not, this number could change because it's plus 110, negative 130. So people are betting on the under. People are betting on the over, and this is a number, if you've been following me for a while, I've been harping on. This is interesting because people are liking the under more than they're liking the over for Seattle. And then I don't get this at all. This to me, it just floors me. Whoops, I made a mistake. Sorry about that. Anyway, all right, sorry about that. All right, I got button happy. It's not because I'm on cocaine. Okay, I have no idea why it's doing this. I really don't. Stop it. All right. You know what? Let's just do this here. All right. I am sorry, folks. It's not because I'm on cocaine. Let's be very clear right now. I have no idea why it's doing all this stuff here. It's going through all my notepads. I have no idea how to stop. Okay, I think I got it right now. There we go. It's not because I'm on cocaine. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think. I mean, people are liking the under for the Rams. People are liking the over for the 49ers. People are liking the under for Seattle. And this number's not going to stay. I'm telling you right now, this is going to bounce up to at least 8.5. I'd love to know what your opinion is. All right, so let me see here. Niners fine. Kingsbury not getting it done. My expectations, and I think what a lot of people, including yourself, were thinking, I wasn't sure that I thought getting to a wild card game would be the ceiling. And a lot of people thought they were a Super Bowl caliber team. They're not. This year, realistically, they should compete for a wild card. It wouldn't surprise me if 3 of the teams in the NFC West make the playoffs. And if you've been following me for a while, you know which team I think won't. But 49ers got fined. It looks like they're down 2 guys. Exactly. And I'm going to bring this up here in a bit. Do you think the Rams are overrated? I think it's a question. The problem with the Rams is that they're really one injury away from being a bad team. All right, they're really just one injury away. Stafford goes down, they're a sub-500 team. Aaron Donald goes down, sub-500 team. Jalen Ramsey goes down, sub-500 team. I don't know, but I mean, last year he played really good. Leonard Floyd player. I have a huge man crush on, loved him coming out of Georgia. He had a great season last season. He's a guy that if he goes down, that's an outside pass rush, so you could maybe put a lot more pressure on Aaron Donald. So I can make a case if he goes down, this team could be about a 500 team. If this team stays healthy, yeah, 10, 11, 12 wins is definitely doable, but they're not a team that I'm looking at and we're like, oh, yeah. Well, keep in mind they went to the divisional round, so let's just say divisional round team. Yeah, you take that same team, replace Goff with Stafford, and if Stafford's healthy, okay, maybe the next round, championship round. Are they in Tampa Bay's league? No. But out of all the teams, the top tier teams in the NFC, you can make cases that all of them have issues. Green Bay, Saints, Rams. Keep in mind, starting left tackle is going to be 40 in December. Great player, Hall of Fame caliber resume, but he's going to be 40. Drawing a complete blank on his name. One of my favorite guys, but I mean, there's a reason why he's got a gray beard. He's old. Don't forget, folks, give me a thumbs up. Even if you don't like the video. Actually, you know what? If you hate it, give me a thumbs down, but don't do that. Hey, I won't tolerate any no hate. But for this year in a perfect world, Lance, really, let me ask you, Funk, isn't it better if he doesn't play at all this year and emerges as the starting quarterback in 2022? Isn't that the best case scenario? That's a question. Legitimate. Let me know what you think. A little behind on comments. James, what's up, brother? Damn glad to see you, man. Damn glad to see you. Glad you're here, man. Rams draft was brutal. I think they got worse. Only position they upgraded was quarterback. No, exactly. And here's the problem. Stafford, the last couple of years, you know as well as anybody, has not been able to stay healthy. That was the one thing. He stayed healthy. He was tougher than a 99-cent steak for 8 years. I mean, legitimate injuries. Nobody's questioning Stafford's toughness, but you do have to question it if he can stay healthy. All right? And that's legitimate. Name me a quarterback who's thrown for over 50,000 yards that goes to his second team and like, oh, all of a sudden he's better. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You don't play in the league, had like a broken back, recover, and then all of a sudden play better. And despite what people think, the skill position talent in the Rams isn't really elite. They have some good skill position players, some really good. Cooper Kupp, really good receiver. But, I mean, are you going to tell me that Kevin Lockett and DK Metcalf on Seattle isn't better? I mean, good, not great. Sup, James, definitely. All right, man. Seattle was healthy last year and San Fran wasn't. That's the only thing that makes sense. Seattle was not healthy. They lost 4 running backs. I think a few offensive linemen. Olsen was out. So what they had to do was they got Marshawn Lynch out of retirement. They also had some injuries on defense. Seattle wasn't healthy, but they still won 12 games. That's the thing, is that neither team was healthy. One won, one didn't. But people are the big names Kittle, because you can make a strong argument, legitimately so. Kittle's the best tight end in football when healthy. But he got injured, and now he's coming back. Everybody's like, okay, he's a top 10 player. Is he? Is he really? Because if Garoppolo's the quarterback, you're not going deep. Let's say Rosen plays a few games more, arm talent, but there's got to be a reason he's on his 4th NFL team in 3 years. And then you got Trey Lance, who isn't ready. I love Lance. There's nothing wrong with the kid. He's just not ready. So I understand that, but I don't agree with it. Stafford at Rams is definitely an upgrade. Losing Staley and players, tough to call. I think Seattle's new OC is going to boost Russ. Cards need to evolve offense. Niners win 8 or less. Denver Gator couldn't have said it better than myself. Could not say it better myself. All right, man, I'm really behind on comments. All right, here, I'm going to get some comments here. Not only have they lost Holmes and Agnew, Pleasant, Cromer, and numerous. That I didn't even touch base on Holmes. I do think Stafford's an upgrade over Goff, but they, as let's just say, forget the quarterback position, the other 52 plus coaches, front office personnel, I can make a very strong case the Rams actually got worse. Welcome, Red Sea. Good to have a fan from a different team, especially because no one really hates the Cards. Look, Red Sea's been with me for a very long time, has a lot of good stuff. I'm a big fan of his. So, is Seattle the 3rd best team? I wouldn't think so, but this is probably the best division in the league. So even being the 3rd best team, I can argue that. I think that this is a good division. I actually think that there's a very strong possibility there's 3 playoff teams in this division. But I agree with you, Funk, and it's kind of weird. We're getting along. We agree on everything. I don't think Seattle's the 3rd best team. I can make it. I think they're currently my number 1, but if you want to say they're number 2, I could see that. Seattle is really only relevant because of Russ. They don't have an O-line or defense. Has a lot of holes. They made some small improvements in free agency quietly on the offensive line. Not a big name, but they upgraded, I think, in 2 different positions. I should have had this up and ready to go before I did this video. So I apologize, Red Sea. But they made some small additions. And then Carlos Dunlap, who they re-signed, finally fits in that Seattle defense that they want to play. Really, really boosted their defense. Their defense does have holes, but the simple fact that they're going to have Chris Carson healthy, also re-signed for another 4 years. He was going to be gone. Rashad Penny's a guy I absolutely loved. Shouldn't have gone 20 overall, especially when Nick Chubb went, I think it was 33 or 34. And that was a big thing. I love Rashad Penny coming out of San Diego State, but how do you go above Nick Chubb in the draft? Massive mistake. One of many that Seattle's make. Plus, they also still have Jamal Adams, who they added on. I think it was the 3rd week of preseason this year. Now he's going to be fully integrated into that defense. So I can make, me personally, when I look at Seattle, I think they got better. Where the Rams, I'm kind of like, San Francisco, I don't think got 4 games better, but Arizona did get better. So you kind of see where I'm going with this here. All right, so I'm going to go over this real fast here, and then I'm going to get more of the comments here. Los Angeles, 10.5. I think it's a big number, but it makes sense, especially going to 17 games. 17 games. People right now really like the under. I'm kind of surprised about that, because what you're telling me is that more people are thinking that San Francisco, and by the way, San Francisco is better. Is San Francisco the favorite to win the division? Because that's what it looks like it's going. That floors me. People are liking the under here for some odd reason. I don't get it, because last year they won 12 games. I think they quietly got better. But the number one thing that didn't make sense is that you sign a Hall of Famer like J.J. Watt to a team that won 8 games, a team that's got a lot of youth, a team that had Isaiah Simmons and didn't use him right towards the last couple games of the season. Then you add Watt, and you still have him winning 8 games. This number is going to go up, but this floored me, because I really thought that you would If you substituted the numbers here and the numbers here, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Oh, hell yeah, Pride. I'll buy your jersey, but I would need it all. Okay. One Pride 40 needs to go ahead and get in to a minor league team, and you're going to need multiple jerseys. I want one. Denver Gators want one. And by the way, is this on your OnlyFans? I have to know, by the way, I know you guys are crushed, and I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm going to anyway. OnlyFans is no longer producing porn. I know you guys are crushed, and I'm going to have to issue a lot of refunds. So I disagree. I say the AFC North is tough. I spit a little bit there. Pittsburgh's questionable, and but the Ravens, oh boy, I think the Ravens are dangerous. And then me and you disagree on Cleveland. I think I want to play 3-4 defensive end. Dude, be 69. Please be 69. If LA doesn't make the playoffs after the trade, now he's acting this offseason. I can see Snead moving on from him. You know, seriously, Funk, if the Rams don't make the playoffs, I actually could see it. I could see it. And you know what? The Rams, being as creative as they've been, could actually trade him if he's under contract, just like the Raiders traded Gruden. I could actually see that. Pride, who would you model your game from? I would love that. Please move Simmons to an in-the-box strong safety that's man-up tight ends and falls into coverage, please. Simmons is a linebacker. He's a coverage inside linebacker. Why can no one figure this out? I said the same thing. Except that the difference I think me and you have, Red Sea, is I think Collins should be an inside linebacker. I think Simmons should be an inside linebacker. And then instead of using them traditionally, move Simmons outside coverage and put Collins all over that front seven. Use him as a blitzer. Use him to stuff him to run. Put him out on the flat. But you want Collins up front, Simmons in the back, but you have them both play inside linebacker. He's a coverage inside linebacker. That's why when they drafted him, great, we're having him as outside linebacker. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, I went there. Yes, he's a coverage inside linebacker. I know it. You know it. As soon as Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Cardinals, figures it out, the better they're going to be. And I think that you're the one who said that you're going to use Collins on the outside. I think that's a mistake because they also got Kennard, I think, or they got an outside linebacker. Yeah. T.J. Watt, Khalil Mack plays is real well. He's best as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And the Raiders, they flip-flopped them to 4-3 defensive end, 3-4 outside linebacker. But T.J. Watt, didn't you say 3-4 end and you named off 3-4 linebackers? Yeah, okay. You said 3-4 defensive end and then T.J. Watt and Khalil Mack, 3-4 outside linebackers. So you meant linebacker, I'm assuming. So did we just see Dan's Pornhub account? Looks like he's into some weird. Those were not my Pornhub. I have that on a different folder. Simmons as a safety. I thought he's either a hybrid player, like the Giants started to use Jabril Peppers last year, or you have him as an inside linebacker. But he definitely is not an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense, which Cardinals tried to use him as. It's very important that you figure out how to use Simmons correctly, because if you don't, you're just sabotaging your team, which they did. I think the same issue is with Collins. They really need to figure this out. Red Sea, we're on the same page, brother. We're on the same page. Donald, Stafford, or Ramsey goes down. Exactly. And that's why I'm kind of surprised at the hype about the Rams, because Donald's played 5 years at an insanely high level, but 28-29 double teamed. Ramsey, he's been pretty solid with the Rams so far, but I mean, Stafford's been banged up. So yeah. LOL, he stunk at linebacker. He's a safety like Cam Chancellor. I I get that. I wouldn't hate it, but they actually run a different defense. So it's kind of like apples and oranges, but I get where you're coming from, because in that cover 3 defense, they used them as a safety. But the Rams, the Cardinals, what they really want to do is more of a 3-4 defense. They need to get a lot more creative, which Joseph didn't do until the end last year. But I get what you're saying. And I think at the right team he could be, but for the Cardinals, he needs to play inside linebacker. Red Sea, I agree about Simmons. The problem is Vance Joseph is your DC. I couldn't Broncos. You know what? Yes, and that was something. I was really high when Joseph on I actually the first year I actually bet on the over for the Broncos, and he just misused the talent. He really didn't have a good grasp, and he was a really good defensive coordinator with Miami. And then he went to Denver, really misused the talent there. And I really thought Denver could have given him another chance, but I did like Fangio. So, yeah. Whitworth, yes. And it makes sense. He'll be 40 in December, if I remember right. Whitworth, okay. Denver Gator, coming from a Cardinals fan who's watched Vance the last 2 years, he's definitely improved. He managed to get our defense to be a top 3 in sacks without his top edge guy. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know they were top 3, and I did forget. I am so sorry. Yeah. He led the league in sacks, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. He comes back. You add Watt, Simmons for another year, and I love Xavier Collins. Xavier Collins, massive man crush on him. Mike with an update. Lightning 2, Canadian 0, middle first period. Wow, that's a high score. I don't know shit about hockey, and I know that's a high-scoring game so far. So, damn. Thank you for the update, Mike. I don't think losing Ramsey would hurt that much, but losing Stafford or Donald, yeah, they're in trouble. Okay, last year, Ramsey traveled with the number 1 wide receiver, and he also really, really got in DK Metcalf's head. So, yes, it's bigger than you think. San Francisco has 2 talented but injury-prone wide receivers, but Ramsey would actually go against Kittle. So that's a key matchup. And then what's the team? The Cardinals. He goes against DeAndre Hopkins. So I disagree with you as far as Ramsey. Ramsey does hurt because they don't have another corner who's a legitimate number 1 corner. When they had Marcus Peters there, you had 2 real studs. They got rid of Peters. They didn't like his attitude, which, you can debate, but he's done a phenomenal job with Baltimore. I would love him back in Kansas City. I'm a big Marcus Peters fan. I know that's embarrassing, but you know what? Hey, I'm there anyway, so I love it. Anyway, I do disagree with this. I think losing Ramsey's huge because who's going to cover Hopkins? Who's going to cover Kittle? Who's going to cover and rattle Metcalf? Which was big because that how he played. He was very, very key into winning that playoff game in Seattle. So I think all 3 of those guys. One Pride 40 only won us the first Seattle game in 9 snaps and made necessary plays to win us countless other games. The Cliff is inconsistent, and Zane was a dismal, but sure. Wow. Red Sea, I'm a Clemson man. Trust me, I say that. I say he's perfect for a box strong safety. That is, if he is used to bail out in space, honestly, y'all should run a 3-3 big nickel as your base. Actually, that would work. That would actually work. You got Corey Peters in the middle, drawing a blank on who's the other side. Xavier Collins could actually play as that back 3. He'd be perfect. And then the other 2 linebackers, that actually would work. Jimmy, smell that. Smells like money to me. And you know what, Jimmy, you picked the right episode because I am going to reveal soon my number 1 pick. My number 1 play to make money on. If Stafford can't win with the Rams, then he is really cursed. Seattle was supposed to say healthier, plus San Fran had the most games missed their starters last year. You're right, but Seattle did have a lot of injuries. I mean, they were down. They had more. This gnat is driving me nuts. He's too damn fast. Seattle had Palmer, Penny, their 4th round pick, DJ Dallas. There was another running back. All 4 of them got hurt. They signed Marshawn Lynch out of retirement. That's how bad they were in the running back position. Plus, they also had some injuries on the offensive line. I think it was a defensive line injury or two. But I mean, yeah, San Fran had more games missed by starters last year, but Seattle was not a healthy team. Right, Funk, they drafted Collins for a reason. Okay. Now, One Pride 40, if I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but One Pride 40 told me that they're going to use Collins on the outside and then Simmons on the inside. I think both of them should play on the inside. That's just my opinion. Simmons covers Collins. Okay, yeah, and then stops to run out cards up. That's what they're planning on doing. Simmons back as the inside linebacker. Collins is going to play on the outside. I think they should both play on the inside. That's just my opinion. And I 100% agree with you here. All right. So, and he's got a nasty. Send us. We all want jerseys. Let me know, and we're going to advertise. Let's break out the games here. Week 1, Arizona, by the way, when Watt was signed, it went from – no, I'm sorry. I lied about this. It didn't change. I think it was at 2.5, but Watt signed, it should go down. Maybe it was 3. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm lying to you. Arizona, a 3-point dog at Tennessee. People are expecting a high-scoring game. Seattle is a 2.5-point dog at Indianapolis, another high-scoring game. I brought this up last week. This is a game I really, really like. It would not surprise me at all if Detroit wins this game. And then this number is a little bigger than I thought it would be. Again, another game I talked about. I'm kind of surprised Chicago's a 7-point dog, but it's at LA week 1. They are expecting a low-scoring game. So I'd love to get your opinion on this, even though I am behind on comments. Before I reveal my best bets, I would love to know what you think. And I'm going to get some of these comments out of the way. Here we got these. Thanks for the update, Mike. Used to go to all the Lightning games all the time. Actually met and got drunk with Smith. That's actually really cool, Denver Gator, even though I cannot pronounce that dude's name. My bad, 3-4 outside. Hey, we know, and we all want jerseys, One Pride 40. Dan pulling some Riley Reed after. Oh, damn, Mike. 2-1 Lightning in a shootout. People want to move Simmons to box safety. Hello, we have a guy named Buda Baker. I thought Buda Baker replaced the Honey Badger, except that Buda Baker is primarily playing in the box, even though he's kind of a player very much like the Honey Badger, who's with my Kansas City Chiefs. But Buda Baker actually, despite being, I think it's 5'9", 5'10", 175, actually plays box safety and does a lot of things. Love Buda Baker. He played free last year because we lost Jalen Thompson in week 1, his natural position, a strong safety. Even playing free, he had over 100 tackles, 3 straight seasons of 100 tackles. Good grief, Red. You put people where they belong and they perform better. Y'all should run 3 safety sets. I actually can't disagree with that. I mean, the only issue I would have is that you have 3 teams that, despite adding Stafford, you have 3 teams that really want to run the ball. That's why they're going to play a base 3-4 because they really want to focus on stopping the run, but losing Patrick Peterson is going to be a loss. However, he's not the same guy he was several years ago. Definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. But I get where you're coming from. We don't have 3 safeties. Hicks is a lightly trade candidate. We can't take Isaiah away from the front 7. We definitely don't have the corners to hold up. Nat flying around makes you think of Adam Gase press. I got compared to Adam Gase. Sorry, I forgot to check you in post Super Bowl. Ended up winning 900 on the season. I was up 1,500 regular season. Lost I had a very bad postseason as well. I had a very bad postseason. The divisional round, I made a bunch of bets and a bunch of them missed. Yeah, I had a very bad postseason, but I have some great picks, and you picked the right show to make, Jimmy, because I have an excellent pick coming up here. I'm going to get some comments and reveal my number 1 pick for the 2021 season, my number 1 pick. Hey, man, it's starting soon. Or Abella Danger. I don't know who that is. Simmons Would still be near the front seven in a 3-3 nickel. He has the speed to explode downhill. Adam Watt is huge when it comes to running a 3-3 with a third safety that hovers behind the linebackers. Drafted Okuda, was the smartest man in the room pick from Boob. Is the under. You know what? Let's just reveal it. My best bet for the 2021 NFL season, in case you have missed it, is San Francisco under 10 wins. You can now get this bet at William Hill Sportsbook in Iowa at plus 130. This is my number one play for the 2021 season. I don't agree with this at all. I think San Francisco is the worst team in the division. I don't get why they are favored to go up. I don't like them to cover this week. Actually, I'm pulling really hard for Detroit to win. This is easily my number one bet. Easily my number one bet for the year. I was really close to making the trek. It's about 2.5 hours from where I'm at currently to get up to Iowa. I didn't make it this week. There's a very good chance by next week's show I will actually have a bet slip. If I do nothing else this year, this is going to be the bet. I also really like Seattle. Seattle was my number one pick last year. Ever since Russell Wilson, this is year 9 or year 10, one of those two. He's the worst season he's had with the Seattle Seahawks, 9 wins. 9 wins. So you add an extra game. They won 12 games last year. I think they do get a little better. Plus, they did have some injuries. So I actually love Seattle over 10, and you're getting a good number in plus 120. I mentioned this last week, and whoops. All right. I mentioned this last week, and I'm messing this all up. I mentioned this last week when Luke was on. I really like I'm all messed up today. I really like Detroit to cover this season opener in Detroit. The reason why is that in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of hype around the Detroit Lions. Are they running a 4-3? I found out now, thanks to you guys, that you're running a 3-4, which still does not make a lot of sense to me. But bottom line, San Francisco runs one of the more predictable offenses and defenses. Detroit week 1, you have no idea what you're going to get, but you're having a lot of excitement within Michigan. Plus, you're going to have a packed Ford Field. It's going to be nuts. Big home underdog week 1. You gotta love it. So I definitely do like this. This is one of really. There's really 2 games I really like week 1. This is one of them. So this is a great week 1 matchup. Take the 7.5. Make sure you get 7.5. I don't like 7, and I love under 10 wins for the San Francisco 49ers. That is my number one pick. This is my number one bet. If I bet on nothing else this year, I'm going to take San Francisco under 10 wins. I have to admit, I'm really tempted to go ahead and put some extra action on Seattle over 10. So, Jimmy. You picked a great show to make, man. You picked an absolute great show. These are 2 really, really good picks. San Francisco under 10. I don't get the hype around 49ers. You have a 6-win team that lost their defensive coordinator, a key offensive guy. Richard Sherman's not coming back. There's all sorts of questions at the quarterback position. Plus, I think there's 3 really good teams in the NFC West. It wouldn't surprise me if the Cardinals, Rams, and Seattle all make the playoffs. Right now, Seattle's my favorite to win the division by a little bit, but I want to see that Nat is right around here. He's so close to getting it. So yeah, Jimmy, great show to make. Is damn good to see you, brother. Damn good to see you. They used the William Hill system at my casino as well. Plan on making a trip shortly. That's awesome because I know that sometimes they change, but I'm using William Hill in Iowa. Hit me up. You can email me or follow me on social media. All my social media links should be listed below. If they change it up where they have different numbers at your casino and you want to get information, just let me know. And not a worst case scenario, I can download, I think, William Hill. And if I'm correct, there's you go to the one in Chicago or is one in Indiana. I'd have to do some research, but let me know if the numbers change and I can help you out. Red Sea saying you want us to run a 3-3 nickel. Have you seen our tip? Here's the deal. In the NFC West, you have to be honest, 3 teams that want to run the ball, And then you have the Arizona Cardinals, which want to, let's face it, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, even though it's important to run the ball, your offense is built around Kyler Murray throwing and running, but you basically have a passing offense. But so your defense has to guard against 3 teams that are run-heavy offenses. So that's the reason why I'm against the 3-3 nickel, is because you do want to stop the run, and it's very important. The thing is about Isaiah Simmons is, despite being 240, he moves like a safety, acts like a safety. He's not a guy who looks really comfortable in the box, and that's the same thing Funk's seeing that I'm seeing. However, Vance Joseph has to get him comfortable in the box and stopping the run and putting him in the right situations, which I think moves Simmons around quite a bit. Even though he's an inside linebacker, he doesn't have to stay between the B and the B gap. All right, he doesn't have to. Kind of going off on a rant here, but that was one of the problems with Michael Parsons, is that when he was at Penn State, he had one assignment. It was stop the B gap, line up in the B gap, and then see ball, get ball. But if they did a misdirection, he had no ability to read and react. And that was a big reason why, despite being a great athlete, that, and a lot of the things off the field, that's the same thing that Simmons had a problem with, is that he just wasn't comfortable in the scheme that they put him in. They have to make him comfortable, but I also think they got to move him around. Even though he needs to play inside linebacker, they need to move him around. They need to move him like a chess piece. They need to confuse defenses. And that's a key, because if Vance Joseph can't figure out the best way to use Simmons, it's going to be a long season. And it could also lead him to being terminated, because you get a guy like him, you get a guy like Collins, very creative chess pieces. You got to figure out the right way to use them, because you got Corey Peters, a perfect zero technique. You have J.J. Watt, arguably the greatest 3-4 defensive end of all time. I think White's more of a 4-3 defensive end, but if you want to tell me Reggie White, because he played more as a 4-3 than a 3-4, but that's the way I see it. So you got 2 key players, and I forget the third player, but they also picked up, I want to say Derek Kennard, or they have him last year. They did lose kid they drafted from Temple, the former first-round pick who had 12.5 sacks from last year. They did lose him to Carolina, but he only had that one good year. So, Jimmy saying, I like San Francisco and Seattle bets. Think about going with your Giants pick to win the playoffs as well. The Giants to win the Giants to win the division. They're my early favorites, but that NFC East is actually really, really interesting. The win the division. Okay, yeah, the win the division. Early on, right now, I do like the Giants to win the division. I really do. So I know we're talking about the NFC East here. We'll backtrack, but yeah. All right. Chandler Jones' name I forgot. Marcus Golden are outside linebackers in your defense idea. D-line would be Watt, Futu, Chan. Our linebackers would be Collins, Derek Kennard, and okay. Yeah, okay. What he's saying is that those would be the linebackers. But keep in mind, Red Sea, in all fairness, he's a Lions fan. You're a Cardinals fan. So, yeah, but Chandler Jones and Golden was the name I forgot. So those 2 are the picks. Those 2 guys are the ones starting on the outside. So I would move Collins on the inside. That's what I would do. But anyway, yeah. Or do you prefer Matt Patricia, boy? Oh my God. I don't like under 10 on San Francisco. I can see 10 if Jimmy G stays healthy. One of their guys, one of the guys that got hurt last year. And then no, 10 is a push. And here's the deal, though, Funk. I think they're easily the worst team in the division. You don't trade 3 picks, 3 first-round picks for a quarterback when you're happy with Jimmy G. So you're not happy with Jimmy G. They lost 6. They lost 10 games last year. So they won 6 games last year. 3 out of 4 years Shanahan's been there, they've had double-digit losses. They also lost their defensive coordinator. So you lose coaches, you lose players, you spend a ton of draft capital on a quarterback, but they're going to win 11 games. No, I don't see it. I don't see it. But here's the deal, Funk. You know this. You can always disagree with me. I actually prefer it when you do disagree with me because I know that you're alive and not possessed by a zombie or something. So yeah. I love it, but spit came out. So obviously I need coffee. But yeah. I don't see a way San Francisco wins 11 games. 10 would give me a push, but I think they're easily the worst team in the division. Easily the worst team in the division. If the two DTs create havoc in that scheme, would it make sense then? Are you talking about in the 3-3 when you have Pete? Now Peters is just a massive, stereotypical zero technique. He's not a guy that really gets after the quarterback. So, yeah. One pride, those linebackers would be virtually ineffective. Kennard was benched almost all of last year, and Vallejo is a special teamer. Oh, I'm talking about, okay, in Detroit. You're talking about Detroit. Well, okay. We'll switch gears, talk about Detroit. In the 3-4 zone blitz scheme that Dom Capers runs, they're not designed to wreak havoc as much as they are occupy offensive space. They're basically designed to have your outside linebackers put pressure on, which again, I don't think is a good move because you didn't have a pass rush to begin with as defensive linemen. So now you're going to move them outside where they need more speed and agility, which they already lack. And so that's kind of what I see. Never mind. Hammond, Indiana, right? Okay, yeah. And I think that everything is the same. If the numbers are different than what I'm showing you, shoot me a message. You can choose any of my social media links or just email me and I can give you some feedback. But I'm definitely going to do everything possible to help you win some money. I'm going to win some money this year. This is going to be a good year for me to bet on sports. So anything I can pass off to you guys, I'm going to. Again, my number one bet is San Francisco under 10 wins. It's plus 130. As soon as I make that bet, I'm going to do a video of the multiple reasons why, but you guys have already heard all of that. So I watched a replay of the NFC North breakdown for Luke G, by the way. Yeah, I can't thank Luke enough. He's always welcome on the show anytime. I should have had him on a lot sooner. I really should have had Luke on here a lot sooner. And as soon as I get done with my Lions breakdown video, I'm going in draft order, so the Lions will be my 6th video. And after I do that video, I'm going to see if Luke G can come back on again. He said he would if he's available. So if possible, I'll have him on to talk about it because we do disagree about the Lions. The one thing we do agree upon is that there's a lot of hope. It's just that I think this year is going to be a train wreck. He's a lot more optimistic, but he's a Lions fan. He should be optimistic. Yeah, 10 if you don't lose, but 11 you do, and you could end up with 11 if I could see 10. I can't bet it personally. No, I exactly, but I don't see that because I think they're the worst team in the division. I think at maximum you win 2 games in the division. I think that in your division you go 2-4, and then outside the division all I need is 2 wins. I think this is a bad football team. I look at Kittle. Is he going to be able to come back and be the same guy for 17 weeks? Maybe, maybe not. Deebo Samuel can't stay healthy. Brandon Ayuk, a guy I liked, he wasn't healthy most of the season. The defense, you lose our defensive coordinator, plus you lose a leader on defense like Richard Sherman, and the defense wasn't good to begin with. In this division, I think there's 3 good teams, and then there's the 49ers. That's how I see it. But I mean, I get you. But you're right, though. Let's flip the script. Let's say I could see Seattle winning 9 games or 10 games. Let's say they're 10, so I'm going to bet over. No, the reason why I think Seattle over 10 is a smart bet is because they won 12 games last year, and I think they're a better team this year than last year. So I like 10 where they got 12. San Francisco won 6 games last year, but they're going to be 5 games better? Really? Because they lost a lot of things, and you're also relying on injuries. Injuries heal up. A lot of times when a player's injury prone, he's just injury prone. Let's use Stafford. 8 years he was healthy. He got hurt 2 years ago. And then what happened this year? He got hurt again. That's usually what happens with injuries. So NFC West has got to be the best division in the league. Yeah. It's up there. There's always, to tell you the truth, I think the NFC North could be really good. I think the Vikings are up there. Chicago is a complete crapshoot. The Lions, I think, are going to be bad. The AFC West, which I'm doing next week, may be a lot better than people think. You have the NFC South. A lot of people think the Saints are going to fall apart. I don't think so. They actually played really well without Drew Brees. So to sit here and say that they're going to be a bad team all of a sudden, I don't see that. They did lose a couple key coaches to Detroit, but the NFC South could be pretty good. I would say the worst division, just off the top of my head, but the AFC South could be a complete train wreck of the division. They could be like the NFC East was this year, because I can poke holes in all four of those teams. But to say the NFC West, I think so, because I don't agree with the Cardinals being a you can't see it here. I don't agree with the Cardinals being an 8-win team. The only problem is I'm not betting 140 to win 110. So that's kind of my issue. So yeah. You can tell the Rams got worse in the draft department. Mahomes and Agnew said, see, here's what they did. It's an old school philosophy, but they just traded their draft picks for players. They gave up 2 number ones. We were just talking about him. Boy, am I off my game today, man. I am off my game today. For the corner, and we were just talking about him. I can't believe I forgot his name already. So, yeah. Sorry if you already talked about it, I was late, but what are your thoughts on the Rams with Stafford? No, man, we can talk about it anytime. I like it. I think it's an upgrade. The issue I have is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. It is an upgrade over Goff, but he's got to be healthy all 17 plus the playoffs, and your left tackle's 39. Bottom line, Stafford goes down. This is a sub 500 team. I wish I could talk on the stream with Dan so I can actually get my point across. Sooner or later, I keep saying I'll add a phone line, and I haven't yet. But I am having people come on. Red Sea, we follow each other on Instagram. We may have to. Not this show. I'm not ready for it. But no, stay in touch with me. And when I break down the Cardinals, if you want to come on, you can come on. I actually understand exactly what you're saying. What Funk and One Pride were saying about the 3-3 is that more teams are using a college-style offense, have Simmons more as a big box safety like Cam Chancellor versus an inside linebacker. But inside linebacker is what they're going to do. So I think I get what you're coming across at. And if I'm wrong, hey, man, stay in touch with me, and maybe we can have you on later on down the road. I would love to have more people involved, because as good looking and as awesome as I am to listen to, everybody's sick of me sooner or later. So that was part of the great thing about having Luke G come on, is somebody more than me talking for a little over an hour. I think we can agree that we disagree with you disagreeing with Denver Gators on fire. Chandler, Zaven, Marcus would be your 3 linebackers. Simmons still in the field. Get me a more movement around guy instead of forcing him inside. I mean, this is coming from a Cardinals fan. I know what my team needs to just trying to help. So, no, hey, man, no. This is the whole point. This is the whole point of this show, is I want to hear different people's opinions. All right, Red Sea, you're a Cardinals fan. I need to know what you think about your team, because when I look at the Cardinals, hey, is this a smart bet? Over 8, even though I'm getting a terrible number. By the way, that number is going to go up to 8.5. And that's another thing. Arizona, should they be a 3-point dog at Tennessee week 1? Let me ask you this. Are they capable of stopping the run? Because if they are, I'm probably making that bet. And then I also want to hear from Funk. I want to hear his opinion. He's like, hey, look, I got a guy in Simmons who was used all over the field at Clemson. And then last year you used him as an outside linebacker as a complete bust. Why don't you use him where he was one of the best players in college football and do the same thing? Because he could still be in the front seven. He could still stop the run. Just use him all over the field, Why not do that? He's got a good point. But yeah, I get it. Hell yeah, man. That's why I love your channel. Not only know your football, you also know how to find value in spread and odd. Great combo app. That's the whole point of the show is that you don't have to be a fan of gambling. You don't have to be a fan of sports betting to enjoy my show. I want to create a show where we can talk all 32 teams. I want fans from all 32 fan bases to come on board. But where there was a guy, I'm not going to trash him because I follow him and I like him. He was on Luke G's show, and Luke G was interviewing him, and he was saying, I have most of my predictions right. Okay, well, sure. What's your proof? He doesn't have any because he didn't do sports betting. Where me, I'm going to make my prediction. I think I said my best bet is Niners under 10 wins at plus 130. The difference is I'm going to come here on the show and I'm going to show you my bet slip, and I'll be able to say, look, I'm not just talking the talk. I walk the walk. And that's something most people don't do. Most people make these predictions. They'll say all these outlandish things and there'll never be any repercussions. Where me, my repercussion will be my pocketbook. And if I bet on nothing else this year, I'm going to bet on San Francisco under 10 wins. And I'm also going to do a video of why I'm going to do that. But that's been my number one bet. If you bet on nothing else this year, take San Francisco under 10 wins. Now, Funk disagrees with me, and that's okay. You can always disagree with me. The difference is between me and a lot of other channels is I actually back up my words with my pocketbook. So, yeah. Chandler and Marcus are pass rushers. Xavier would be the only true linebacker in that defensive scheme is what I'm saying here. The most effective way to use that personnel set would be a 5-1-5. And even though they're outside linebackers in the 3-4, they wouldn't fit in the 3-3 scheme is what Red Sea is getting to come across. So, and I get where you're coming across, but what Funk's saying is that in the 3-3-5, they would basically be more on the line of scrimmage. Very simple. Here's the thing. You guys are saying the same thing. That here's what Funk's saying is that you call it a 3-3-5, but these guys would have a 5-man front where you would stop the runs. Believe it or not, you're almost saying the exact same thing. Believe it or not. 49ers always have injury problems. That's another thing. I'm not banking on Jimmy G to stay healthy for 17 games. I'm not banking on it. And then let's say he does get hurt and you put Trey Lance in there. I don't see Lance getting them to 10 wins. And once he goes in, he's not coming back. Once Lance goes in, he's there. He's there for good. And I think he struggles enough just to get them under 10 wins. So, yeah. Niners always tried to get the best 49. I'm telling you right now, I just even they had so many injuries, you can't count on all those guys being healthy. You just can't. I mean, Jimmy G's proven. I mean, even when he got four starts, and then he had to miss one because he was hurt in New England, and San Francisco gave him a bunch of money. He's been consistently hurt. And I don't think he's going to all of a sudden stay healthy. I don't know. I know Trent Williams is a good player, but he's on the opposite side of 30. His best years are behind him, but they paid him like he's the best left tackle in football. Is he a great player? Yeah, he's a great player. Is he a top 3 left tackle in football? That I don't know about. I got that. I want to kill this gnat so bad. God damn, he is fast. All right, hold on. 49ers always get overbet in Vegas, betting on that this way forever. I've noticed this the last couple of years, and Mike, because I know you do a lot of sports betting, I 100% will jump on board. If you haven't noticed, here's the thing about San Francisco. There's lots of money, and it's a close proximity to Vegas. That's part of it. That's the reason why they're getting a good number, and that's the reason why they are overbet. That's why a lot of people are liking it. I'm worried that the number is going to jump to 10.5, and I can't get advantage of that plus 130 because a $100 wager will win you 130. So, Red Sea, you're in good company. You have Lions, Texans, Broncos, and Falcons fans here. All we do is defend our teams, even though they suck. And don't forget, Mike is a fan of let me see if Mike, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here. Miami, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Jacksonville, and of course, I know you're a big Chiefs fan. And Denver Gator is a huge Chiefs fan and Broncos fan. Red Sea, I watch Clemson. I know what the kid is good at and what he's not. He struggles when he has to deal with the big guys. He was my draft crush. Actually, I thought that he would have been perfect with the Lions because the Lions would have used him all over the field. But when he got drafted with Arizona, they haven't been using him right. I think he's best fit is inside linebacker, but you got to be creative. And one thing I really didn't like when I watched him play last year is that he was not a physical guy. He's a big dude, but he doesn't play like he's big. Another thing is Isaiah Simmons went to high school about less than 10 minutes this way. Less than 10 minutes north from here. He went to high school right here. Which is rare because Clemson usually doesn't recruit kids from Kansas. But they recruited Isaiah Simmons, and he deserved to be recruited. He was one of the best athletes in all of high school, even though he played for a school right in my backyard. So iffy. 49ers problems. All right. When you say healthy on Stafford, I like to call him the injury prone. I mean, dude, here's the deal. Like, if you play, as far as I'm concerned, you're healthy. I know that 8-year streak he had of playing every single game, I consider that healthy. Now, was he banged up? Yeah, he was banged up, but he showed up and played. I think Stafford at like 75, 80% is better than whoever the backup quarterback is with the Rams. You need Stafford just to be able to play in those games. Do I think he's going to play 17? The answer is no. And you should know how much I love Stafford, but is he going to play 17 this year? The answer is no. So. Did you watch him play the back half of last year, Funk? He was our inside linebacker. It was him or bust. The guy didn't have a real offseason to learn 4 different positions. And that's what I'm hoping this year is that they're going to put him at inside linebacker and they're going to be able, with the offseason, to use him correctly. Are they going to use him between the B and the B gap? The answer is no. Even though he's going to play inside linebacker, he is going to be moved around like a chess piece. If he's not, I feel like you're mismanaging him. But he also have an opportunity to learn and grow. Because one thing that Funks will say the same thing is that they didn't use him in the same spot at Clemson. Well, they tried using him at outside linebacker, and it was a complete disaster. But then they started to use him as an inside linebacker, and he played better. I think they need to get more creative with him, and then this offseason is going to be big. But is Isaiah Simmons a guy you want between the B and the B gap? The answer is no. And if they use him that way, I think Vance Joseph, that could be his foot out the door. But does he need to play inside linebacker? The answer is yes. Does he need to stay between the B and the B gap? The answer is no. I know it sounds like I said 2 completely different things, but what I'm saying is have him on the field, have him around the line of scrimmage in that front 7, have him in different spaces, because even though he plays outside linebacker, you also want him to match up against tight ends. You want him out in the slot, not covering slot receivers, but you want him out on the hash marks. You want him moving sideline to sideline with that 4.38 speed. Hopefully that made sense. You believe the Rams actually got worse, but people keep hyping them up because of Stafford. I think there's a possibility they got worse because there's no depth on that team, and John Jackson was a big loss. So John Johnson, he went to Cleveland, and that was a huge loss because he actually was the team captain on defense. Normally it's a middle linebacker, but he was a safety, and he set up everybody on the back half. A very creative thing that the new Chargers coach did as defensive coordinator was have the safety call the defensive formations from the back. I actually thought that was brilliant. And the Rams had one of the best defenses in football. Here's the thing, though. The Rams had one of the best defenses in football. Jalen Ramsey is the player I was trying to think of. So they had one of the best defenses in football. They lose their defensive coordinator. And bottom line, you get Ramsey who's hurt, defense falls apart. Aaron Donald gets hurt, the defense falls apart. I don't know so much about Leonard Floyd, but he played really, really great last year after having 4 so-so years. Really, really wasn't worth the 9th pick in the draft, at least the way he played. I love the pick coming out of Georgia. He just didn't live up to that number 9 overall spot for the Bears. but he played like he was a monster last year with the Rams. If he doesn't play that way again, then the Rams definitely won't be one of the better defenses in the league. And offensively, they're kind of hamstrung. So, yeah. I saw a little bit, not going to act like I watched it all, but I know that kid. If you get 3 sacks in one game, you get 3 jersey. By the way, One Pride 40, I'm not joking. Can you provide like some pictures of the jersey? I want one. Denver Gator wants one. I think we're going to get some more. So we need some jerseys. I will wear it on the show. I wore my Al Bundy jersey. So and he scored 4 touchdowns in a game. So you only need to get 3 sacks, but I do want a jersey. Simmons. All right, man. Phone line would be fun for regular season if you could pull it off, but I could also see it a pain in the ass to manage for you. You know what? When Luke was on here, there was a ton of comments, and I wasn't able to keep up because I really enjoyed talking with Luke. And here's the thing. If you put me and Luke on the phone or have us chat back and forth, you put us in a room together, we could talk football for at least 2, 3, 4 hours. And it doesn't even have to be about Chiefs and Lions. I mean, you could talk us about anything, and we just won't stop. And so it's kind of hard to kind of pry us apart. So like it was a lot more difficult for myself because I do everything. This is not really the best way, if I'm being honest. The best way to do a YouTube show is to sit here, just get on and start ranting and then just go on the comments and just me doing all the talking. But it's something I just love to do. I mean, this is my favorite thing. I'm sitting here and I work just in my home. So I look over and I see lights and I see my backdrop and I'm like, God, I can't wait till Friday so I can just talk about football. So, yeah. Yeah, but I actually do want to get more people on the show and more people doing talking rather than me, because a lot of you guys have good stuff to say. And I would love to actually get like Red Sea to talk, 5 minutes about the pluses of the 3-4 and then get Funk to talk about the pluses of the 3-3. And it's funny because I think they would both really say the same thing. I think they're both on the same page. They're just saying different things, but they're really on the same page. But they do disagree. We're a little bit on Simmons, but I think both of them agree. I think it's safe to say both you guys agree that Simmons needs to be in that front 7. Just don't have him between the B and the B gap. I think that we all 3 of us agree on that. Hey, Pride, what are some of your semi-pro team names near you? Not personally. I said I know it's there is a team called the Lightning. Dude, that would be cool, man. That actually would be cool. And I do want a jersey. Denver Gators, Detroit Lions, semi-pro. I still want a jersey, man. In my personal Cardinals fan opinion, our defense should be a 5-2-4. So, yes, I actually, you know what? That actually would work. But the way that they're using the 3-4, that's basically what the defense is. You're looking at, even though they outside linebackers are basically there. So this defense needs to stop the run, and they are able to the rush the passer. Now they get Chandler Jones back. The problem is what killed Arizona last year was tight ends were just anal raping them. So, yeah. This stream should be titled Dan versus That's got me nuts, man. I can't kill them, and I'm drinking coffee. I had an energy drink earlier today. Very high number, 81 or 83% sure I'm not on cocaine today. I know we're close to each other. I'm just saying Simmons isn't a true linebacker. He's always struggled with blocks from offensive linemen. That makes sense. And Mike's getting a hurricane. All right. This is the first time all week that we haven't had rain. So, yeah, I got you. It's a little different when it rains here than when you have a hurricane. And, wow, another update, 3-1 Lightning. It's not in the first still, is it, Mike? And then let me know. I'm a little behind on comments, but it's not still the first, is it, Mike? In the defense of what I'm talking about, you wouldn't have to do that. He's a true coverage linebacker, never going to lead the league in tackles or sacks. And that's where you guys are exactly on the same page, is that you need him to cover Tight ends, you need to have them in the flat. You need to have them sometimes just drop completely back into coverage. If you're using like a Tampa 2 defense, which you shouldn't use, but you may use some varieties of it, a middle linebacker drops back and basically plays like a cover 3 free safety, and you could use him like that. You can kind of basically have the 2 safeties, because Budda Baker's better as a strong safety. So Budda Baker, you kind of flip flop the 2. Okay, I'm kind of going on a weird rant. Yeah, I think all of us are on board with that. And I think the only difference is that Funk doesn't want to call him a linebacker. You want to call him a linebacker, but you guys want him to do the same thing. So yeah, we're on the same page. Stafford played half the season. Yeah, absolutely. I love Stafford. I just don't think he's going to play 17. I just don't think he's going to play 17. But if he does, then yeah, there's going to be some really, really, really good things going on with the Rams. If he plays 17, it's going to be a good season. But if Aaron Donald's hurt, if Floyd's hurt, if Ramsey's hurt, then they're not even a 500 team. The depth is really, really bad. And they also lost some key players too. So I would rather have someone taser me after eating a handful of bees than root for the Chiefs. With that, I'd root for them before the Raiders, Eagles, Pats, or Cowboys. So Denver Gator is telling everybody that his 2 favorite teams are the Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Here's a tough one. When Denver and Kansas City plays, which team are you going to cheer for? It's a tough question here. It's okay if you don't answer today. It's okay. He is no one expected the Lions to get much out of him except me. He is no one that Lions expected to get much out of except me. Which player are you talking about? Which Lions player are you expected to get? I got confused here. Haters. Should the Lions trade for okay? Under an old Matt Patricia scheme, the 2 teams should have chosen other players. The Cardinals last year should have took Okudah, because he would have lined up opposite Patrick Peterson. He would have learned from Peterson, then he would have replaced him. And then Simmons was the guy Patricia really wanted, but Patricia and Quinn had a big disconnect. This year, no. 4-1 Lightning. Wow. Losing Hill, Johnson, and Brockers were hurt that deep. Exactly. And so you're and don't forget the defensive coordinator. So you lose players, you lose your coordinator, but you added Stafford. So instead of winning games with a really, really good defense, you got to have more offensive production. And here's the thing: is the offense with Stafford, is that an elite offense? Am I looking at top 5? I'm not sure. Plus, I also don't think that you're going to get 17 from Stafford. So, yeah. Add Fox to the list, too. I did. Losing Blythurst. And you know what? I have to admit, I didn't know about Everett. I did not know about Everett. So, that's another thing. Hawk didn't work the Cardinals last year. I'll blame the Lions for that, because that was one of the biggest weaknesses on the inside. As much as I love Budda Baker, and he made some great plays in the secondary. He's not really a coverage guy. He's more of a guy that stops to run despite his small frame. The thing is, though, inside tight end play really, really destroyed the Cardinals last year. Okay, mid-second period. Okay, thanks for the update. 4-1, so the Lightning are looking really, really good. Tight end was our problem in 2019. Not so. Okay, I stand corrected. So my bad. I got caught in a really bad storm similar to a tornado. Hawk had a field goal. I'm still mad at that week 1 because I had action on Detroit, and they're up 24-6 in the 4th quarter, and I was drunk off my ass. I left the bar to go to the casino to get my bet slip, and it was a wasted trip. And then the tram lost power, so I had to get an Uber on the way home. God, I was pissed. The reacher. I would expect that the Lightning was favored by a lot in this series. I've actually it's Miami is on my bucket list, and The company I work for now has a major knock in Tampa Bay. So I did some checking and I heard Tampa Bay is awesome. It's not that expensive. Actually, Florida itself is not that expensive. I thought it would be. It's actually not. I need to do more traveling down in Florida. I actually just need to get away from Kansas City. Even though I did re-sign my lease for one more year, it's my goal to be out of the Midwest by 2022. So, Tampa would not be that bad. So, from what I've gathered, hurricanes is basically rain. You're not dealing with the storm type qualities. I could be mistaken. In the Midwest, I've had to deal with several tornadoes. I'm one of those dummies that when the tornado comes, I stand outside looking for it. So, yeah. Okay, I expected us to get that much. Here's the deal. Me and you vehemently disagreed. I did not think that you were going to get near that much, and you did. You were right. I was 100% wrong about that. But yeah, and you did get a lot, and you're going to build. Hopefully you're going to build a lot with those games. So maybe not this year, but next season records will get destroyed. A 17-game season. I think the league should bump up from 58 to 53 to 58. Actually, there's already the practice squad got increased, and the 53 will move up. I think there was something in play, and it kind of I should have came on that as one to change. I know the practice squad got increased, so you can move players up, and 53 will move up because here's the deal: it's only going to be 17 for a couple of years. It's going to move up to 18. So I think because it used to be 45, it was 45 for a long time, went from 45 to 53. I think it's going to go 53 to 60. I think you're right. The practice squad already increased. So that's the reason why you have larger practice squad. And there's also practice squad. I don't know the exact number. The practice squad, I think, went from, there was all sorts of rules too. Not only did practice squad increase, there was it used to be you had to be like 1 or 2 years in the league. If you were ever played in the game, you couldn't go back to the practice squad. Now you can play in a game and go back. And I think the first thing the NFL will do is increase the practice squad, and then sooner or later it'll go from 53 to 60. So, but yeah, you're 100% correct. It's going to happen because 17 is going to go to 18 soon. So yeah. Funky fan, yes, Montreal's a surprise finalist. Unfortunately, I don't follow hockey, but I'm glad you're giving updates because I know a lot of games are televised. And if you're putting action down, then yes. Everett went to the Hall. Oh, really? I should have known that. When I do my breakdown videos, I will include that because that's actually a great pickup for Seattle. Another reason why Seattle is my early favorite. I have to admit, I forgot about that one. Mike, this one is the Disney Princess Elsa. Good luck. It might get cool. All right. Yeah, the Habs aren't even supposed to make it out of first round. Okay. I have no idea what you're talking about. The over-under the hockey game was 5. Did you have action on the game, Mike? You don't have to reveal. What were you expecting, Dan? Out of Stafford? Oh, God, right? If you remember right, I thought you would get a third. And the reason why is you had to give him a lot of money. But, of course, with the Detroit trade, you also ended up eating a lot of money with the golf deal. But no, Al Stafford, I was thinking third, maybe a low second. I didn't think Stafford would get a first-round pick, let alone multiple first-round picks. But, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it would get near that much. You called it. If I remember right, you said 2 number ones, and you were right. I was like, no, you're crazy. And, of course, I was wrong. But not on drugs, despite what people think. I thought they had it at 55 because of COVID last year, and they're keeping it this year. You could be correct. I know the big thing was, I think 2 years ago, it was the practice squad. They made a ton of changes, and part of it was the restrictions of players that were on the practice squad and the size. And then last year, they made some changes due to COVID. If you say it's 55, I'll take your word for it. It will increase. With the 17 games, it's going to increase. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So that's kind of the big thing here. I was in the Florida Panhandle, west through Ivan and Katrina. Fun fact, Tampa is the lightning capital. No shit. Because that's one thing that we get quite a bit here in I'm about 20 miles southwest of Kansas City. I want to say 25, maybe 30. But there's a lot of storms in here. And it's been raining the last couple of days. Not a ton of lightning, but it's actually nice today. It's actually 80 and sunny. It's so gorgeous day, and I spent all day inside working. So I'm just happy Lions didn't draft a booty warrior from Penn State, Funk's favorite. I was fairly confident Parsons was not going to the Lions. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure how he's going to fit in that cover 3 defense. They got Cox, so I think it's a great fit. Parsons, I'm not sure. Dallas is going to be an interesting team this year for sure. You didn't bet it. The Elsa comment was, oh, okay, it's Hurricane Elsa. I did not know that. Stafford's been faking. Stafford's been faking injuries to get out playing for that idiot Patricia. He's in tip-top shape. Oh God! I don't think they got along very well. Someone who isn't on drugs doesn't feel the need to keep saying so. You're on drugs, confirmed. Red Sea, I'm not on drugs. It's a very popular thing to say that I'm on cocaine because I'm very jacked up. I'm on energy drinks. I'm on coffee. A lot of people in the chat think I'm on cocaine. I am not on cocaine. I'm just confirming that. Elsa, hurricanes are named after females. Most times Elsa might be the cold one just so you could sleep tonight. I think it's a shame. All right, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. It's a shame that any hurricane's not named after all hurricanes should be named after women. I think there's like one or two if they had like an ambiguous name that's like, where it could be it could be a guy, it could be a girl. And I think like a few years ago, they had to name a hurricane after a guy. It's bullshit. All hurricanes should be named after women. I saw some of the footage last week. I went out shooting Monday. Actually, I went out shooting and at the shooting range, they had that on. That's really sad. Hopefully you didn't know anybody and hopefully you didn't live there. I don't know all the details about that, but the footage I saw was terrible. I mean, it looked like a massive condo. If you're not familiar, it was a massive condo collapse in Florida. So hopefully nobody we know, hopefully Pete, who I haven't heard from today, is not involved in very sad situation. Very sad situation. Denial of drug use is very minor, is very mild tonight because I'm not on drugs and everybody knows it. Stafford didn't want to sit. Patricia had to bench him the year he missed any time. I know Patricia rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and Stafford's as tough as a 99-cent steak. Nobody ever will question Stafford's toughness. I'm just saying I don't expect him to play 17. I just don't. I really don't because I'm not sold on the offensive line quality for the Rams. I do like the guy we talked about, left tackle, John Whitworth. Okay, I like Whitworth, but dude's going to be 40 in December. So there's some problems on the Rams offensive line. There's some question marks. Stafford's not been able to stay healthy the last couple of years, and even though he did play, he was banged up. There's some issues, and I'm just saying I love Stafford. I don't expect him to play 17. That's why I don't think the Rams are favored, because you have about 6 players on the Rams. One of them goes down, the whole team. It's a very average team in a very difficult division. The depth on the Rams is one of the worst teams as far as depth in the National Football. It's not the worst. I would say depth-wise, what team has the worst depth in the NFL? It would be the Rams, where depth was one of their strengths. It's now one of their weaknesses. And that's part of the reason why. That's part of the after effect of trading first-round picks. You traded 2 first-round picks for Ramsey. You traded multiple 2 first-round picks for Stafford. So when you give up those first-round picks for players, it does hurt your depth. So medical, Mike, not you too, man. No. I'm not on medical cocaine. If not named after female, they would call him McCain's. Thank you. I'm here all night trying to chicken. Denver Gator on fire. Mike's doing hockey updates and bringing up medical cocaine. That is a good one. Dan doesn't live in Portland, so it's probably if I move out to Vegas, which has been on the tip. I actually toyed around with moving to Vegas, but I re-signed my lease here in Kansas City. But even if I move out to Vegas, I still will not be on drugs. I promise. One Pride 40 getting his shot in. Did you get your oil change? Again, not on drugs, but if you went to the Colts, then a different story. I actually agree with that. I think Stafford going to the Colts would have been perfect. I'm not 100% sure Wentz. Now, keep in mind Wentz and Frank Reich worked together in Philly, and that's when Wentz had his MVP season was with Frank Reich. The problem I have with the Colts, and I still think it's a big concern, is that their starting left tackle is slated to be, I believe, Eric Fisher, who ruptured his Achilles tendon in the AFC Championship game. Of course, the general manager for the Colts, he was the Chiefs' number 2 guy when Eric Fisher was drafted. So he has a long history of knowing Eric Fisher, and he actually had his best season last year. But it's hard for a guy to rupture his Achilles tendon late in January and be ready for early September. But that's the game plan for the Colts. So you have a quarterback who's already got a questionable situation with his offensive line. So now you have a question mark at left tackle. I think Stafford's really best spot could have been the Colts. To be honest with you, I think his really best spot would have been the Chicago Bears. I think under Matt Nagy, I think that would have been his best spot, but I don't see the Lions trading Stafford to the Bears. So I think the Colts would have been good, but I think LA is also a really good spot for Stafford. I just think that the Rams need to make sure that offensive line is set up right. And that's another thing the Colts need to do. And when I start breaking down the teams, that's kind of one of the things, spoiler alert, one of the things I would tear apart with the Colts is that, hey, you got a big question mark on your left tackle when you still, let's face it, Carson Wentz is a question mark. Lots of talent, but he had lots of problems last year. Of course, I think Wentz's biggest problem was the offensive line. But here you are, left tackle, big question mark. So, yeah. And my prediction for Stafford trade was 2 firsts and 2 seconds. And you was, what was it? A 1, and then is it a 1 and a 3, or is it 2 number 1s? Yeah, I was thinking a third. So yeah, you're right, definitely. He would be big. No, Nelson's going to stay at guard. They were wanting him to go from guard to tackle, but they signed Eric Fisher, who is still undergoing rehab. I mean, he's not going to be ready for training camp. But he's slated to be the starting left tackle. So that's the reason why you signed Fisher. So yeah. And I'm not fond of the move. I loved Kwity Paye replacing Justin Houston. I thought that was great. I really did, even though I love Justin Houston. And for the long term, it's good. Maybe not perfect for this year, even though I do love Kwity Paye's game. But I hated the Colts not addressing that left tackle. You have a guy who had a lot of problems with a bad offensive line, had to play hero ball. At least that's what I saw. If you want to argue that, I get it. So anyway, so you have some problems there. And then what do? You have a massive question mark on your left tackle. So, yeah. I'm not saying this just as a Broncos fan, but Stafford with this current roster, come on. You know what? Actually, I forgot about that. But yeah, Stafford. Now, me and Drew Lock went to the same high school, slightly different years. So I think Denver did the smart thing in putting all their eggs into the Drew Lock basket for this year, because if it pans out, you have a really, really good quarterback. This is a guy who had first-round talent written all over him. This is a guy who would go first round most of the time. I have no idea why he slipped. But Stafford on that Broncos team would be very dangerous because you have an elite receiver. I think he's going to be elite this year in Jerry Jeudy. You got Hamler with the 4.25 speed, not really a wide receiver, but you have that great speed. Now, keep in mind, he didn't prove that he ran a 4.25. He tweaked his hamstring, but at Penn State, he looked like he was a 4.3, 4.4 guy. I didn't see 4.25 speed, but and then you also have Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. You have all those passing weapons. That actually makes a lot of sense. No, you're right. I think Denver did. And next week's my AFC West show, so we'll talk a lot about the Denver Broncos. But yeah, the AFC. But okay, you know what? Spoiler alert: that the skill position talent on Denver is scary good, very scary good. Now keep in mind, Jerry Jeudy was my number 3 player overall in last year's draft. So yeah, definitely an upgrade over Goff. I agree, but the one thing is though, I don't know if Stafford can stay healthy. If Stafford stays healthy for 14, 15 games, and yeah, definitely an upgrade. There's no question Stafford's an upgrade over Goff. No question. I feel a lot more confident Goff's going to play more games this year than Stafford. So yeah, Denver's a good one. I would have ripped Reich and Chris Ballard if they did that. Here's Chris Ballard was when Dorsey was fired. The Chiefs actually reached out to Ballard, who already accepted Colts general manager position, and they wanted him to come back and take over. But Ballard stayed in Indianapolis, which is kind of a shock. And this isn't an insult to Indianapolis, but would you want to play for Robert Irsay, or do you want to play for Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs? And you definitely would rather play for Hunt over Irsay. Nothing saying nothing bad about Irsay, but Hunt's the more respected owner in this situation. Not as long as Irsay, because the Colts have been with the Irsay family. Now, keep in mind, I lived in Baltimore when the Colts left, thanks to was it Jim? No, I'm sorry. Bob Irsay was the guy who moved the Colts away. Jim Irsay is his son. So just like the Chiefs, it's a family-run business. It's just Irsay's. I think almost everybody would agree the Hunt family is better owners than the Irsay family. So, Dan, did you play any sports in high school? Yes, actually. I played football. My best sport was wrestling. I was actually really good at wrestling. I could have possibly gone to college. I don't know if you know anything. Now, the laws are a lot different because there was one guy who actually went to wrestle at MU, played football at 180, wrestled at 152, then got down to 145. And a buddy of mine told me he went to college. He went to MU and wrestled at like 130, but he played football at like 180 to 200. And he said that he did not look good. He was very unhealthy. See, I wrestled my last year wrestling in high school. I wrestled at 119, and I played football at like 120, 125. I was like 9th string bench warmer. I mean, my high school did not make cuts, but if they did, I would have been the very first person cut. I mean, I was very, very tiny in high school. I was a 98-pound freshman, and I made the team, but the score was 42-0, and the mascot already got a few plays, and then I would go out and play. So yeah. But in high school, I did wrestle. I won first place in a wrestling tournament. My junior year, I ran track, but I caught mono. My neck swelled up like out to here. And I didn't want to tell my dad. I thought he'd be mad, but he looked at me. He's like, yeah, you got to go to the hospital. So I ran 1 year of hurdles, but I wasn't able to compete because I missed so much time with mono. And but wrestling was my best sport. Now, keep in mind, I had problems making weight at 119. I got really sick. Came back and I was about 115. They're like, hey, Dan, can you wrestle at 112? And then when I wrestled at 112, I won first place in a tournament. And I wasn't as good as the guy that was varsity who was a year younger, but at 103, if I was able to jump all the way down to 103, I would have been the guy who ended up, I could always beat him. The guy who ended up wrestling at 103 ended up getting a college scholarship, and I could always beat him. So, but the idea of going from 115 to 103, was it possible? Yes. But when you're a young growing boy and you're trying to lose 10% of your body weight, which 115 to 103 is 10%, it's a lot harder than it sounds. Now there's laws that you can only lose like 10 pounds or you have to be at over 7%. But back when I went to high school, back into my day, there was people with losing crazy amounts of weight. And even though wrestling was my best sport, I probably should not have. Football is obviously my first love. But I remember I was like at 130, and then right after high school, I went to boot camp and I went to AIT, and I came back 4 months later and I grew 2 inches and put on 30 pounds of muscle. So yeah, but I also graduated high school. Well, that's another story completely, but I was a 13-year-old freshman, and then I turned at the beginning of my senior year, I was 16 and my birthday's in October, so I was 17. Hindsight, if I was 5'8", 160 my senior year in high school, I might have been a pretty decent football player because I was just so vastly undersized. And like I said, right after those 4 months I went through boot camp, I grew 2 inches, put on like 30 pounds of muscle. And maybe I wouldn't have done that my senior year of high school. Who knows? So don't get me wrong. I'm a lock defender. He's talking about he's taking a huge step this year, not like Josh Allen jumping. He's about to disappoint a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. Drew Lock. You think he's see, here's the thing. I actually think he is going to make a Josh Allen jump because he's got weapons. He's got coaching. The big disadvantage he has is I'm not sold on Pat Shurmur as your offensive coordinator. I think that he's not utilizing what the Denver Broncos do best. He wants a run-oriented, old-school offense. And really, I think they should spread it out and use a college-style offense, go 3-4 wide receivers, get very creative with KJ Hamler. And if Shurmur can open up the offense enough, Denver's going to be a very good football team. Could he make a Josh Allen? Absolutely. Here's the thing. I actually think he does make a Josh Allen type jump. Not where Josh Allen's a top 5 quarterback, but could Drew Lock be a top 10 quarterback? Absolutely. I think Drew Lock has all the tools it takes to be a top 10 quarterback. I really believe that. 4-2 Lightning, 2 minutes. Damn, it is a high-scoring game. Lightning in 5, maybe in 4. Mike wrestling, yeah, 1 year track, but I wasn't allowed to compete in the meet because my neck. It seriously, it was like out to here, so I was able to practice. So yeah, hindsight, I kind of regret losing all that weight in for wrestling, but I wasn't ever going to be a good football player. I was just way too damn small. But football is my first love. I was easily, of all sports I played in, wrestling was easily the best one. Same, I loved wrestling. A lot of wrestlers here. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize it was very popular outside the Midwest. So Dan did underwater basket weaving in high school. He was pretty good. Got in trouble for selling up baskets. Oh, God. All right, we're going to wrap it up on that note. I'm not on drugs, but we are going to wrap it up and end it. Next week, I am going to do the AFC West. I'm thinking about maybe getting somebody else on. I haven't reached out to anybody yet, but there's a couple guys that I know are big Chiefs fans, along with myself. Even though I'm already going to have a lot of bias towards towards AFC West, but I'm going to try to be objective when I break down the AFC West. I'm a lot different, I know, than Funk, and I've also been really high on Denver, which is something not a lot of people are, but we'll have to get down to that next year. The last comments we got is I played guards, a center guard, tackle, sit on the center of the bench, guard the water, tackle anyway. I was very good at that also, except I was so damn small. Me and you have a lot in common, Denver Gator. Who do I think has the nastiest swim move at the 3-4 outside linebacker position? Ooh, that is a excellent question, One Pride. God, man, That's a great question. I'm going to say Watt. But you could go with a couple different people. I'll say Watt. I'll say Watt, and I do want a jersey. Please stay in touch. Send me some pictures. Send me something. I was a bench corner for 2 years of high school. Not a healthy lifestyle and family issues made me have to stop playing. Now I bowl every week. Dude, that's actually awesome, man. Dude, hey man, I follow you on Instagram. Hopefully you follow me as well, Red Sea. But man, post some bowling stuff, man. My dad used to bowl, and it drove me nuts because he's ambidextrous. He's 100% ambidextrous. I can't even jerk off left-handed, so he can bowl. He actually bowls left-handed, but he stopped playing in a league. Buddy of mine actually was really big into bowling, but he told me he was part of the PGA, and I was like, I don't believe you. And then they have this thing called the internet, so I looked it up, and he's not. But no, that's actually awesome, man. I don't have an opportunity to compete, but I do get to do my YouTube channel, so yeah. Now I have a chance to put the helmet back on. I want a jersey. I know Funk does, and we're going to end it there. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Next week, I am going to do the AFC West. Plus, we'll have 2 of my videos to talk about after next Friday, where I break down the AFC West. I'm going to talk about some of my team breakdowns. I had so much fun with Luke G. I'm going to see if I can get more people on. Excuse me. If you want to join the show, shoot me a message, hit me up on social media, hit me up on email. And if you want to just come on the show and hang out for, even if you don't want to do a whole show, if you want to come on the show, talk for a few minutes, we can make it happen. I'm always up to changing some things up in the show and trying some new and different things. Mike suggested it many times. I need to have more guests on. I had a blast with Luke on. I'm hopeful I can get Luke to come back on again, but I'm always open to have people on. So definitely. So make sure you give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. If you haven't already, you suck. And I am not going to do cocaine, but I am going to end the show. Guys, I will see you all next Friday.